Hello, everybody, and welcome to this webinar, Impact Filmmaking for Social Justice. My name is Ana Castañosa, and I am the head of the Impact Days, the professional program of the FIFDH, the International Film Festival and Forum on Human Rights in Geneva. We're very happy to welcome almost 500 viewers from many different countries around the world. I think that more than 60 countries, my colleague Sophie told me, who are registered to this webinar. And thank you so much for joining us right now, especially for those who are in a very different time zone, and for who it's very late or very early right now. I would like to thank especially the FIFDH team for making this webinar possible, as much as a big thanks to all of our partners who are making this edition possible. With their support, their expertise and trust, they allow us to build the entire program of the Impact Days and bring to Geneva in March the most pertinent experts in the field of impact production. Laura Longobardi, editorial co-director of the FIFDH, would you like to say some words about the Impact Days and the FIFDH?
With pleasure. Thank you, Anna, and welcome everybody to the very first public program of the Impact Days and of the FIFDH in general, because the festival is going to be in March, but in January now we are already having a public event like this one. So we're in Geneva, which is, as you might know, internationally considered the capital of human rights because of the many international organizations, over 750 NGOs, many policymakers, and they work every day to advance human rights and strengthen grassroots movements. And on the ground to support the activists and the communities that suffer human rights abuses and discriminations around the world. And the festival founders 23 years ago, that's why they decided to found this festival exactly here in Geneva. The necessity was really to bring the voices of the artists who have their specific point of view and the stories that they tell and the films that they bring a very specific point of view in this ecosystem of discussions about human rights, because films can open our eyes, our hearts, and to situations and lives that maybe we weren't even aware of, and that's what we start caring about. So for this very reason as well, we started the Impact Days in 2019, so we are arriving to the 8th edition. It was fast, but well, we made every year something a bit different, going to hopefully a good direction. And really the grounding reason of the Impact Days is to make these connections even stronger between the filmmakers and those who are on the ground to protect the human rights, to facilitate the collaborations with the aim, of course, to advance human rights through the power of films. And I don't need to tell you how much human rights are being disrespected around the world right now. And the very system that was built to protect them is definitely under attack. So we hope that FIFDH represents, and the Impact Days, of course, a space of resistance to this very worrying and scary trend. We hope this to be a space to bring people together so that you can discuss, find solutions, and especially create communities, because that's what really can be a resilient way forward. Communities of like-minded people through the power of films. So we are now in the very final stages of the organizations of the 24th edition of the festival that will take place from the 6th to the 15th of March, and the 8th edition, as we mentioned, of the Impact Days. And so we hope that if you like what you hear and what you see in this webinar, and you want to be part of this growing community, that you will be able to join us in Geneva. The program of the festival will be known on the 12th of February and of the Impact Days on the 3rd. And I think there is also a very nice possibility to join with a free accreditation. Isn't it right, Anna?
Exactly. Thank you, Laura. As many of you probably have seen in our previous emails and announcements, we will be holding a prize draw at the end of the webinar. We'll be giving away 5 accreditations for the Impact Days, which give you access not only to the whole program of the Impact Days, but also to all the screenings of the festival. If you'd like to take part in this prize draw, you just need to fill in a form that my colleague Laura will be sharing in the chat box. You just need to fill in your name, surname, and email address, and at the end of the webinar, we'll know who are the winners. You'll have just 10 minutes to fill in the form, okay? Please, because we need time to organize it. So just take the next minutes to do it if you want to participate. And now it's time to get started. I'd like to hand over to my colleague, Sophie Moulfin, who leads the strategic communications of the Impact Days, and she's also in charge of the NGOs program. She will be moderating the interesting discussion we're going to have next. Sophie, are you ready?
I am ready. Thank you very much. So I'm Sophie Mulfin. I'm the NGO Program Manager here at Impact Days in Geneva. Welcome everybody today. This webinar, this annual webinar, is for people who are looking to use documentary films to advance social change. And I think you said there were around 60 countries. There's actually over 81 countries represented today. And we have a great mix of filmmakers, NGOs, international organizations, philanthropists, impact practitioners. Some of you are very experienced. Some of you don't really know what impact production is all about yet. So welcome to everybody. So we're going to be talking, first of all, about impact campaigns. We know they require time, resources, emotional energy, and finding and keeping the right group of allies. So to talk about this, we're going to be covering questions like, what is an impact producer? How do our impact goals determine who we work with and how we implement our campaigns? How can we map out campaigns when the world is so unpredictable? And we're going to be talking a little bit also about campaign fatigue. How do we stay fresh and motivated together? So we have a lot to get through. Without further ado, let me introduce you to our guests today. Joining us from South Africa and Kenya, we have Ishtar Lakhani, Advocacy and Campaign Strategist and Creative Activism Trainer at Rogue Union. And we have Prince Odera Onyore Nyambok, the second Communications and Outreach Manager at DocA, Documentary Africa, and Impact Producer. Ishtar and Prince will be leading the discussion and also asking for your input along the way. And we'll also have some time for questions at the end of the discussion. So please, Ishtar, Prince, hello, first of all, hello. Are you there? Can you hear us? Can we hear you?
Yes, loud and clear.
Yes.
Fantastic.
Loud and clear.
Please go ahead, introduce yourselves briefly, and then kick off the discussion.
Ishtar, would you go first?
Oh, I'm Ishtar. I'm calling in from Cape Town in South Africa. I'm a lifelong activist, campaigner, co-founder of Rogue Union, and like my passion is helping and supporting individuals and organizations working to get their issues kind of felt and resonated with. In a nutshell, Prince?
Well, my name is Prince Nyambok. I have a very long name, but it's in line with African tradition. I'm very passionate about just the whole idea of using film for social change. And funny thing is that this found me at my current position at Documentary Africa, in that I was originally just a communications manager. But then after a while, after spending so much time with various powerful documentaries that DocA had funded and that I also encountered personally, I realized I was introduced to this amazing world of impact production, and I fell in love, and it was uphill since then. So overall, my very wonderful executive director keeps referring me to the impact person in the organization. So I think that could be the nutshell, just the impact person when it comes to the nexus between making your documentary and making it make social change. Yeah.
Great. And we wanted to know who was here. There are already people writing in the chat box, introducing this.
Oh my God.
But maybe we can kick it off. We can accelerate this.
All right. First of all, I just love that enthusiasm. Everybody was just introducing themselves and sharing where they're from. And I'd like to encourage and open it to everyone else. Please feel free to share where you're from. If you could also add what you're working on or what the project that you're working on is, and also maybe what change you'd like to see with your project. So feel free, go. I'll just be shouting out as they come in. Rachel, thank you very much from the UK. Simi from Helsinki. Oh, this it's overwhelming. Who else
I'm
do we
doing a
have?
special shout out. I see Rosie Materna from South Africa. My
Rosie.
people.
I know Rosie as well. This is awesome. Welcome everyone. Ah, Sophie, you need to guide me here. I'm getting very excited just seeing them. Like I want to read everything.
Okay, I think we've established that we're representing the entire planet.
Yeah.
Shall we get into what people are working on? What the films that they've seen that motivate them, something like that. You guys wanted to get a feel of that kind of thing with the audience. Maybe Ishtar, you have a look. You're good at scanning.
How
Yeah.
about we do how about we do this, Ishtar? How about you tell us about a movie or a doc that has had an impact on you recently? How would that be?
There's so many. There's so many. I'm trying to think of one that is at the forefront of my mind. Oh, there is an incredible documentary I watched very recently. I need to remember the name of it, but it was documenting kind of the fall of Milosevic's government, but it documented how young people, specifically young people, used humor and like fun, like creative campaigning to bring down an entire government. So it wasn't about necessarily using kind of military force. I'm gonna Google it now. So it wasn't about using military force, but it was using cultural force and how these young campaigners actually contributed to the fall of a government, and so like an authoritarian government. And that was something that just struck me recently that I really enjoyed, because it was about not about political power, not about military power, but about cultural power.
Wow. Okay. Thank you. You've set the tone very high. I'm seeing Nikolai talking about Seeds from Brittany Shine. Could it be the one that's also been submitted for the Oscars this year? But at least I'm glad that, oh, not sure. All right. Because I saw it somewhere on Instagram and everyone was happy about it. But yeah. So at least we have a bit of an idea of where we are in terms of the power. Oh, somebody has confirmed it. Natalie, yes, Seed is on the short list for the Oscars. Yes. So we can see not only are the power of films being able to drive social change, but they're also getting critical acclaim or critical mention. And I think that also kind of grounds or kind of moves us in the direction which is um, which for us I think is great because we understand that we make films not just to tell a story, but also to touch people. And now, on that note, this work of touching people has a very incredible um, bent to it, and which is you have to assemble a team to to basically effect this work. And I remember Ishtar, you had an amazing note about effect and affect. Do you mind sharing that before I ask this question?
Oh, sure. So
Yeah.
one of the wonderful bits of theory I learned along the way in campaigning was something that's advocated by and framed by the Center for Artistic Activism, and that is the definition and the difference between affect, effect, and affect. So affect, to be affective, all of you know, all of you probably in this room are affective. That means we can move people, we can move people to feel things. That's what the creative industry is really about. When you listen to a song, when you watch something, like it creates feelings in you. Like I find creatives, filmmakers, artists are very affective in the work that they do. Then you get effective. So effective is kind of the realm of kind of changing the material world. So I usually use the examples of like activists are often, and I identify as one, are quite effective. Like if you wanted to organize a protest here in Cape Town with like 500 people outside Parliament, I could do it in a few phone calls. Like we're very effective. But where we find the magic is affect, which is the mixing of affect and effect. So the bringing together of affectiveness and effectiveness. So this is the ability to move people and get things done. Because often when we're creating something, we're not thinking about the material change we want to see in the world. And sometimes when we're doing logistics, we're not thinking about feelings and how to make that magic happen in people's hearts. So I find, especially in my work in campaigning, that magic place happens when you bring together kind of artists and activists and find that magic affect spot. And that often creates the best kind of campaigning.
And can we talk a little bit about this term that we use a lot in the world of impact film, but that not everybody really completely understands? What is an impact producer?
Oof.
Oof.
All right. Can I jump on that one? All right. So for me, I think, and I know, and also Michelle from GIPA was there when I was hearing this for the first time. Was for me, an impact producer is somebody who has oversight on the budget for the campaign, for the impact campaign first, as well as the strategy and organizing and mobilizing the individuals to actually achieve the goals set about for that film, for the community it represents. So it feels very institutional, but I would put it in a nutshell as the person who, as Ishtar kind of put it, is the person who takes the affect and turns it into effect. Like they're the ones who take the film and now push it forward so that it can have what could we call it? It could have a sustainable or impactful goal for the community that or the issue that the film is representing. And on that note, I saw on the chat that somebody actually very earlier on had identified themselves as an impact producer. And the way they wrote it kind of resonated with me when I started this work, was like, my name is XXX and I just discovered that I'm an impact producer. And that kind of touched me on the chat. So whoever you are, please just drop a thumbs up or something, because that is usually the initial and the main journey of you becoming an impact producer is first realizing, oh, so this is the work that I'm doing. And I'd encourage anyone who has a different definition of impact production to maybe share that on the chat as well, so that we can have an idea of whether we're all on the same page or maybe there's a new definition that could help, broaden our understanding.
Prince, while people are writing that, while the impact producers in the room are getting busy, maybe we can talk very briefly about Our Land, Our Freedom, and tell us a little bit and see some images. Mm-hmm. It's all about film. It's all about the moving power of cinema. That'd be great.
Ooh, okay. So in my very wonderful journey, I ended up being an impact producer for a beautiful film, Our Land, Our Freedom. And I just saw somebody that we worked with in Our Land, Our Freedom on the webinar as well, Gudula. Shout out to Gudula on the chat. I feel like for me, it was also my first film. Being an impact producer, I had spent so much time on the reporting side, on just the designing of an impact campaign side. But this was the first time I was on the ground meeting with protagonists. And one key thing before we share the trailer that stood out for me is that you have no foundation for social change unless you have interacted with the main community or even the main protagonist that your film represents, so that they can actually give you the foundation for what social change looks like for them. And I feel that for me was the defining moment for how I wanted to run impact campaigns moving forward, is always understanding the who and the why, and why it's important for the who. So with that, impact, we like to talk, we prefer to show you the impact than talk about it. So maybe if we could cue in the trailer so that people could have an idea of what the film is all about.
was born in a freedom fighters family. My mother was a freedom fighter. My father was the leader of the Kenya Land and Freedom Army. The British called them the Mau Mau. History of Kenya has been distorted. The first books were written by white men, portraying my Mau Mau as savages.
Ikari ya Ngeretha yuga kwĩ Mau Mau moragĩtwo. Yuga nĩ mĩkora yoragĩtwo.
Kai, rĩu nĩkĩ gĩkĩ?
No mũtwe.
Ũkĩra ũthiĩ ũcokanĩrĩrie andũ, ũmere tondũ rĩu mĩgũnda nĩ yagire kuma twaheo wĩyathi.
Tafadhali usiingilie mambo ya siasa.
The land issue in Kenya is very sensitive.
So we should remain poor because the land issue is very sensitive. Haki ya Mungu mtajaribu, hamtaniweza. Risasi tu ndio itaweza mimi.
Fantastic. We had this project in the Impact Lab in 2021. Then we had it a couple of years ago in our webinar, and now it's finished and touring. Can you just always in the theme of the job of an impact producer? Can you tell us a little bit about what you've done with the film and where it's at?
For me, what happened with the film was I came in at the very, very early stage in terms of post the film having premiered, and as much as what might seem early for a film team is basically what we've been trying to change within the impact space, where you need to bring in the filmmaker from the beginning. Right. So for me, when I came in, we had the beauty about it is the way the campaign was designed, because I found the campaign initially sort of designed by one of my mentors, Wanja Emily, who basically ushered me into the impact space. So I kind of found a framework to work with, and our plan was very phased. We had a pilot phase, a phase 1, and a phase 2. So with the pilot phase, we basically sought out to show the film to the protagonists and the communities represented, so that we could, first of all, spiritually get their blessing that, hey, we like the way we're represented. We give you, our blessing to continue with any work that you might want this film to do. And at the same time, they could also share with us, which we did. We actually have videos of that. They could share with us what they want this film to do for them. And for me, that was very, very powerful, because anything that we did afterwards always had a grounding as to, are we doing what the community needs? Are we moving towards a change that the community wants? Right. And for me, that was primarily my job. We did the pilot phase for 1 year. That was in 2024. And it was remarkable. For me, it kind of changed me in a way, but at the same time, it also showed me that there's so many parts to an impact campaign that you have to look into, like taking care of the protagonist, safety and security, managing movement and logistics. It's a very powerful job.
And I was going to say there, sorry, Prince, you were talking about the participants and having their blessing and, what is a change they need to see. They're almost part of your allies and your impact team too, then, the participants themselves.
In fact, they're the core, because we cannot organize around anything else. If we can't even bring anyone into the team if we don't know how it's serving their vision for social change, right? So yeah. And so for me,
I was going to bring Ishtar into this because you had some great things when we talked a couple of weeks ago to say about how our impact goals actually determine who we work with and who we choose to work with, and what kind of profiles the team is made up of, and the way in which we implement the campaigns.
Yeah. I mean, I love what Prince was saying, which essentially for me resonates with around campaigning, which is nothing about us without us. So who are the people involved in making sure that they get pulled through the entire way? I think my mantra for before starting any campaign on anything, so I work with organizers around a range of kind of human rights and environmental rights issues. And kind of the core thing that grounds any campaign is the objectives of the campaign. And my little mantra to myself is think, feel, do. So how do you clearly define what you're trying to achieve? So when someone encounters your film, what do you want them thinking? What do you want them feeling? And what do you want them doing? And I think quite often we don't think through those three things and be really specific and nuanced about it. So, what do we want people to think? So, for example, they walk away from watching the film or they walk away with engaging with you as an impact producer. What are like the three things you want them to know? Like, what are the facts you want them to know? Then what do you want them to feel? And this is an interesting one because often when I work a lot with campaigns, we immediately go to we want people to feel outraged and angry. Like that's the feeling we're going for. But actually, there's a very huge spectrum of like the feelings wheel. And to articulate, like maybe we want people to feel surprised. Maybe we want people to feel curious. Maybe we want people to feel empathetic. When we define how we would like people to feel, it changes how you craft your campaign. It changes the language you use. It changes who you bring into the process. Because a campaign that wants to make people feel angry and outraged is very different from a campaign that wants to leave people, say, feeling hopeful and empowered. And so defining that feeling in your objective, I think, is really important. And then the final thing, the do. This is also often where we're very vague. Like, what is the actual thing you want people to do? Yes, maybe you want people to watch the movie, share the movie, but like, is there something else in the greater impact that you want your film to make that they can actually tangibly do? Is there a campaign that's happening on the ground that they can support? Is there someone that they can write to if they're feeling like in their feeling after watching? I mean, I know just watching that trailer, I'm in my feelings now. Like, what do I do with these feelings? Like, it's also part of our responsibility to give people outlet for that feeling because quite often I know here, for example, I live in Cape Town, people march to Parliament like every second day, and you get people all riled up, and 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 then what do you do with that feeling of riled upness? And if you don't give them a way to express it or to kind of join your campaign or do something, they actually end up feeling more disempowered. So I find at the beginning of everything, define those objectives. What do you want people to think? What do you want people to feel? What do you want people to do? If you're as specific as you can be about those three things, that will tell you what is the kind of team you need to bring together. That will start guiding you in kind of what is the process? Who are we actually looking for? Because you never know. Answering those questions very clearly might bring in someone that you weren't expecting. It might say like, oh, actually, you know what? Let's bring a stand-up comedian into this team. Like that could be a really interesting take because we want people to like feel empathy and have them feel really human about this thing. So that I think if unless you're clear about that, you're then not going to be clear on the most effective people to bring into the squad. And what you want is a diverse team as possible. You want a diverse skill set. And you want people who are open to different creative ways of working and different creative languages. Because to make people feel, you'll see, there's the visual element of it, but there's so many things that make you feel. It's the visuals, it's the sound, it's the language that gets used. So that's like, yeah. Think, feel, do. If you can get that right, I think that lays the foundation to any good campaign.
And Ishtar, also we were talking about the difference in mentality between like a film production team and an impact team. Can you get into that a little bit for us?
I'm hoping I'm not going to get cancelled here. I'm making I'm just making broad stereotypes here. But I've often found because I work a lot at the intersection between kind of like art and activism, so like creativity and activism, and quite often we find that the creatives that we work with are full of affect. Like they know how to move people, and then you bring in the impact people, and they're full of effect, going, okay, that's so nice you have those feelings, but like, okay, what does that look like? We need a budget for this. We need a plan. We need a timeline. We need to make this real. And so they can often be a lot of tension there. So I think what is really helpful is naming upfront. That's why I like the kind of the framing of affect, effect, and affect, because it's not blaming anyone. It's not saying, oh, the creatives need to be less affective or the kind of impact people must be less effective. It's saying you need both. Like there's no magic without both of it. So by naming it, it's I think is the first step to say, listen, we're coming from different kind of intentions. I mean, the overarching intention is we want this to like change people's lives. We want to make some sort of difference. But we both have different superpowers. And so how do we work together to combine those superpowers and just make sure that whatever plan we have, whatever campaign we run is not just all heart and like no plan and no budget and no like accountability, but is also not soulless. And actually, it's not just we're just churning out press releases and like things where people come and like media statements and stuff that don't mean anything. So acknowledging that there will be tension and saying like the key to making this the most impactful possible is how we navigate that, acknowledging we all have superpowers that are needed.
Oh, could I jump in on that, Ishtar? About just because having been in that little difference or that little tension between the film team and the impact team, and it's very, very fundamental that you do that job of understanding what the community wants, because sometimes the needs of the story and the needs of the community can somehow diverge, right? Especially after the film is complete. Yeah. So establishing a baseline as to how what the goals for social change are gives you a specific razor for what to say no to and what to say yes to, especially as the impact producer of a film. Because as we said, we've been trying to change the fact that impact producers come late in late production or after the film has premiered to when they're part of the team from development, mainly because it stops becoming like, hey, we're done with the film. Now, this is what we want the film to do. It's now the filmmakers telling you, the impact producers, this is what we want the film to do, as opposed to, hey, could we hold our brakes? And what are your protagonists saying? Have their needs changed from the time you started shooting? Because and I'm glad that I'm seeing a lot of people in the chat are saying that they're working on their first documentary, it's their first project, and maybe this line could be a bit insightful for them, is that you need to understand that documentary takes a long time for you to see the final product, because you're telling stories about people's lives and things change in the process. In DocA, we've realized it takes approximately 3 to 5 years to get a documentary finished, right? So by the time you're starting with this protagonist and they're having this challenge, maybe by the time the documentary is finished, something has changed. Right? So you can't just keep going and say, okay, this is what they told me, this is how it's going to be. You have to take a step back and go back and like, hey, is this the same goal that you wanted? Is this the same type of change that you wanted to see? Right? Then from there, you use that as a framework to have a conversation with your film team and tell them, hey, this is the story that you made, but this is the type of change that the protagonist wants to see. But then your insight as an impact producer is tell them, this is what we can actually do. And this is how far we can actually go with it. So that gives you some degree of grounding when you're navigating those conversations between an impact producer, or even when you're bringing an impact producer on board. You have to understand that their main job is to articulate the type of change that your story or your film or whatever creative work that you have is going to make for the community that it represents. So in a nutshell, you need the strong foundation to say yes and no to your film team. Yeah.
Yeah. This was one of the questions I was going to ask. Also, I'm sorry. In such an unpredictable world, how can we map out an impact campaign? How can we know ahead of time who we're going to work with, who we want to work with, who we're going to keep working with? And how can you stay fresh and motivated over the years that it takes to do an impact campaign, whether it's around documentary film or for an NGO, advocacy? How do you do that?
Oh, okay. I mean, for me, with the mapping in like an unpredictable circumstances, I find for me having a diversity of team, and when I mean diversity, I mean kind of diversity of skill sets, backgrounds, sectors of work. Working with people who are not only necessarily from your own sector or your own perspective, often I think makes a team stronger because you have kind of like many eyes on the horizon and the landscape. If you're working with just the kind of same kinds of people all the time, you're not looking. You're very unaware of what's happening on the different horizons. It allows you to stress test your campaign. And I feel stress testing is really important. And the best way to do that is to invite people into the space and say, what do you think about it? Like, interrogate the campaign. I think often we're quite hesitant to like pilot something and try something. We don't take feedback well often. And what Prince was saying about inviting the people that were part of it, the protagonists, and inviting open conversation to say, what do you think? What do you think the potential pitfalls are? What have you experienced? What are the kinds of things you see on the horizon that could be problematic? How could this potentially actually come and shoot us in the foot later? Because every person you ask will have a different response to it, depending what part they played in the filmmaking process, depending on whether they're an audience in what context. So for me, to make the strongest campaign is to invite participation as much as possible and to have a pretty thick skin. So to hold your campaign lightly. And I know that's hard because Prince is laughing because this is your thing. This is your thing that you're working on,
Yeah.
that your soul is invested in, that your heart is invested in. But if you're so invested in it that you aren't able to be open to pivot if necessary, then that's really difficult. So it's also a lot about like self-development and going, okay, I need to learn how to take feedback well and with good intention, and to see that like actually inviting critique is actually a really, really important thing because that's going to help you stress test your campaign, and it will help you stress test and it doesn't matter then what happens in the context because you've tried this out in various scenarios. So that for me would be kind of the answer to your first question about like how do you start mapping this in such a changing environment. And then I have a really dorky answer for the how do you stay motivated? Because there is the yes, we're doing important work, yes, we're changing the world, yes, we're making the world a better place. Like that keeps us motivated to a certain degree. But I have to say, it's been multiple decades of me running campaigns, and now the campaign strategist dork in me, the way I stay motivated is I actually figure out how to measure the impact. Like, so often when campaigns come to me and they say, we want to raise awareness, and I'm like, that's not an objective. Like raising awareness is lovely, but it's step one. I use the example with like I used to be a smoker for a very long time. Was I aware that it was bad for me? Yes. Have I watched documentary films that is bad for me? Yes. Did I know the science and the facts? Yes. All these things. I knew it. My awareness was raised. Did it change the way I behaved? No, it didn't. What changed the way I behaved was, well, actually, I fell in love with the non-smoker. But this thing in my life showed me how, like, raising awareness as a campaign goal is it's the first step along a longer path and trajectory of change that you want to make. And so if you can articulate what change you want to see, whether it's like a particular community, you want them to feel more empowered over a particular issue, or whether it's a policy you want change, or whether it's a factory you want shut down. When you name that, you then come up with, oh, this sounds terrible. I'm now using jargon, indicators, but small ways to measure whether you're doing that. So if you saying that one of your goals is really that like the community that's most effective just embrace this documentary and like really are passionate about it and become passionate advocates for it, figure out ways to measure whether you're doing that. Like, is it that they really enjoy it, they share it, they come to the screenings, they ask questions? Like, there's ways to measure these things. And that keeps me motivated because it shows me, okay, tick, like, this is actually making a change, incremental, slowly but surely, this is making a change. Like, if you want people empowered to watch it, if that's part of the change you want to create, how do you measure that? How do you know that? And that for me keeps me motivated because if we aren't measuring it, then we don't know if we're winning. And I like to win. Personally, I'm a fan of winning, especially with campaigns. It also then allows you to pivot. Like if you're not achieving the impact you want, you don't want to wait a year long down the line because you haven't been looking out for your indicators and measuring. You don't want to like run a whole campaign for a year, then realize you haven't like made an impact of any, and you haven't made any change, and then decide to pivot. But if you have that kind of feedback loop where you're constantly gathering information, you're constantly measuring, you're constantly asking questions, you're constantly curious, it means that if your film is not making your desired impact, you can pivot, you can try something else, you can be agile. So that ability to respond is what keeps me motivated. But yeah, that's a boring response of kind of measurement and indicators. Prince, please be more inspiring.
Can I add something to that? And I think maybe it kind of answers the mapping question. I am the ambassador number one for pilot phases when it comes to impact campaigns, because I feel like it's a period of time, and I know it sounds very technical when I say like, please make your pilot phase a year, right? Like just give yourself a year to understand what the next 2 years look like, right? Because that year is when you spend time with the protagonists, you spend time having relationships with partners, and introducing them to your film without a certain degree of time desperation or time crunch, right? It gives you a certain time, it gives you the necessary time to build a case for your impact campaign. Because a lot of the time, and what I've come to learn, and we're even discussing this with some other impact producers, and I think I've shared this before, is that sometimes the pilot phase could be enough. Because when Ishtar was talking about measuring awareness, what you might not inadvertently be measuring your goals or measuring how successful you are, the pilot phase is that key measure. Because remember, most of the time is that you set up with very lofty goals for your impact campaign. Then the mistake that most of us do is, okay, now let's go do the screenings, let's call everybody, let's meet up with this NGO. But then the reality is you're asking yourself 3 months in, why nothing is happening, right? Is because then you're realizing you didn't talk to the community. The community did not even tell you, like, hey, you see this is where you need to hold the screening, because this is where the people meet. This is the place where this organization does this. So come and do it here. So spending a significant time of doing that is very important in you to develop how the campaign is going to look like, and at the same time, why you should do this campaign. Because if you do the pilot phase and you realize the community is like, thank you, we can take it up from here, then you get to understand that, okay, that was the key catalyst that was needed to move. And another key thing about the mapping that I would strongly suggest, even for documentary producers in the chat or in the forum or anywhere, is document as much of your impact campaign, right? See, the same way the filmmakers took so much time to capture the story, you as the impact producer, that's why I really love the term producer, because one of the key outputs of your impact campaign could be a case study video specifically that shows other impact producers or other campaigners that are coming after you, how you navigated proceeding to this social change, right? And at first I thought about it. I was doing it mainly so that because I do not like writing so many reports. I just told my film team, like, instead of a 6-page report, I'll do a 1.5 page report and a 5-minute video of what happened. Little did we know, when we were sharing that video with the funder, the questions were a bit more proactive. They're like, oh, we saw this. This is what the protagonist is saying. Because it's different when you say, we discovered that our protagonist wanted this, but then it's different when somebody's viewing, we want the film to do this for us, right? So for me, part of the mapping is documenting as much of what you want to do. Don't think about it like, oh, this is just standard and everything, but it's very important, because I know this sounds quite woo-woo, but there is something when you capture somebody's story, right? And they feel very proud to see themselves, seeing that what they wanted was listened to, recorded, and now is being shared. There's a light that I've seen when we interact with, because what we ended up doing in our pilot phase is, after we did our first screening, right, with one of the protagonists, when we went to another community screening, we showed them the after video of the previous screening of the film, of the protagonist talking about it. They were so happy. They were like, oh, this is what the veterans were talking about. Are we also going to get a video like that so that you can go and share this with other people so that they can see what we want this film to do? So for me, the mapping is also document and understand that, give yourself time to do it. Don't think of it of like a 2-3 week thing, but give yourself time to actually do it. Yeah.
Ishtar, you want to say something?
No, I just want to say you also just answered Clara's question in the Q&A as well, because Clara's question in the Q&A was about, when making a documentary in a country or culture that's not your own, how can you ensure that you don't fall into colonization, or the impact campaign is not affected by your own values and ideals? I think your question answers that beautifully around the connection with the community, like making sure that that line of communication is open and honest and frank, because the community will tell you. If you have that trust in the community, they will tell you. If your impact campaign is not what they want, they need to be in a position to be able to tell you that, and they will keep you tensioned and on track.
True. And I think that's also the other thing too about campaign fatigue. Just the interaction with the community, right? Especially, I know it sounds still very warm and heartfelt, but when you're doing this work, you need, especially all our human rights work, have to come from a position of, you want this. You want a better world. You want a better society, not just for yourself, but for all of us. So for me, that's the thing that takes the fatigue away. When you see the protagonist calling you, like, oh, they saw me, I'm getting calls, thank you so much, it's so good. So for me, that's the thing that keeps me going. Yeah. So if I don't get those calls, yeah.
Beautiful parting words, Prince. Beautiful sentiment, a better world. Thanks so much to both of you. We have another few questions in the Q&A box, which we don't have time for today, but I will pass them on to Ishtar and Prince, Eugene, and we'll see if they can maybe write to you and see how we go for that. So thank you very much, both of you. I'm gonna keep Ishtar going here. Ishtar is gonna tell us a little bit about her new platform, and so it's over to you, and we're looking forward to it. And this platform will help with the campaign fatigue. Yeah.
Yes, I'm going to talk very briefly about Rogue Union and play a video, because videos, we all know videos are just better. Even though the video has my own voice and my own face, which makes me feel very awkward and weird, but. One of the things we notice is people that work in campaigning, in comms, in the human rights space and the environmental and social justice space, is that often a lot of these things that we're doing requires you to learn new skill sets. I mean, this is exactly what we're doing here. This is what's being done with Impact Days. Like, there is a hunger for people to learn new things in a context that's constantly changing. And so for us, we became very frustrated, because when you learn new things, like, there's lots of courses out there. There's a million different courses out there. And we found the gap happened when people couldn't learn in community. So this is a very great example of like what happens and the magic that happens when you learn in community. The chat here is an amazing example of people connecting, networking, sharing information, sharing resources. So myself and my partner, Krishna Gomez, thought, okay, how can we do this for the world of kind of social justice activism? What is a resource or a space that we can create that can give people access to kind of cutting edge courses that we need in today's world, that's forever changing, but more than that, a community that they can learn with. So a space that people can go to kind of meet like-minded people and learn the skills and practice the skills. So with campaigning specifically, campaigning is a skill. It's a muscle. And what do we know about muscles? Unless you go to the gym and exercise them, they atrophy. And we know that campaigning requires understanding the current context. Doing a campaign today is going to be very different from doing a campaign 3 years ago, or doing a campaign 5 years ago, or doing a campaign in 3 years, in 3 years' time. Because what we work in is culture. Like that's what we're trying to do. That's what we're trying to shift. And the thing about culture is just always changing. So it's not like you can kind of learn and do a course on campaigning like 3 years ago, and then suddenly everything is going to be relevant in 2 years' time. It's going to be appropriate for the context. Like we might be living in a very different world. So for us, it was about how do we create this community that can change with the culture, that can change with us, that can help us grow in our campaigning. And our answer to that was something called Rogue Union. So it's quite new. We launched last year in October. And the idea is that it's an online platform, learning platform, which involves courses and communities. And we launched with 3 courses, mine on campaigning, Krishna Gomez's on futures thinking. So how do you exercise your futures thinking muscle? It's a skill that's used a lot by like the military, by government, by insurance companies, basically by capitalism, because they understand that they need to kind of figure out what the future is going to be like in 10, 20 years and get you living in their future. So what does futures thinking look like? How do we create different futures and help ourselves achieve that through strategy? And then Thomas Coombs on hope-based communication. So for all you communicators out there thinking about the intersection between neuroscience and communication and how do we bring that together? So those are the 3 offerings we have. We'll play a short video. I'll cue just a very short video about why it is what it is and why we did it. Go ahead.
Rogue Union is a training community where like-minded people who want social change can come together,
who want to learn the cutting-edge skills that are fit for these chaotic times that we have, but who want to do that in community with others. So many people in our field right now are feeling lost, inadequate, and alone. Rogue Union is that place where you can finally get those skills that will make you effective in realizing that change you want to see in the world, but doing that in home where you connect with people who want to do the same thing.
We need a space where we all can come together, regardless of our issues, regardless of whether we identify as activists or not.
There's so many courses out there. We know that. But most of them, after the course, you have a skill and you don't know, what am I going to do with this skill? We're so used in the activism world with trainings that are full of theory, heavy with fluff, that they don't actually translate to real muscles that you can use right away.
Rogue Union is special because it gives that safe space to try new things, to experiment. You can come to Rogue Union with a different idea, an idea that's never been tried before, and play with it and have fun with it.
Rogue Union is about providing that tribe where with your new skill and with others who have the same, you can practice it together and add that people magic where you feel at home with people who get your struggles. That's the magic of Rogue Union.
A rogue is anyone who wants to see change in the world.
Because they have that innate fire inside them, that hunger to do things better, to constantly learn new things, but feel like there's no one else around them.
You can be a rogue. Anyone can be rogue.
You know you've always felt it in you. You have that impatience. You feel like you're not making the impact that you set out to do, yet you don't see a path to realize that in the world. Well, this is that place. This is your home where you won't be a misfit anymore. You'll be one of many rogues. So, are you ready to go rogue?
So that's in a nutshell. So if you're interested, I'll share the website. Come play, come learn. We want it to be a space which is also very fun, which is a claim in this very serious world on fire moment we're in. But yeah, please join us.
Thank you so much, Ishtar. I hadn't watched the video yet, and I was watching it now like, what? Super inspiring. I want to be a rogue also and go rogue. It's amazing. Thank you so much for sharing this. I think that what we can see, because of the conversation you had with Prince, thank you also very much for participating in the conversation. And because of what we are seeing in the chat, is that it's really a community, right? It's about community. It's about connecting each other. If we want to change things, if we want to do important things, we need to go in a tribe and do it together. So it's great that you have offered this to us. My colleague Laura has shared the website of Rogue Union if you want to know more. And now I'm going to thank you both again for the amazing conversation you had with Sophie. And we're going to talk about another community that many of you know as well. If you don't know it, you should already. And I'm talking about the GIPA, the Global Impact Producers Alliance. And we have with us Michelle Plascencia, co-coordinator of GIPA, who's gonna guide us a little bit about what GIPA is doing right now, but especially about the directory they have, where if you need an impact producer, an impact strategist, an impact practitioner, that is the place where you can also find easily one. Thank you so much, Michelle, for being with us.
Hi, everyone. Good morning or afternoon or evening from wherever you are connecting today. And thank you so much to FIFDH and the entire Impact Days team for organizing this virtual gathering. It's so beautiful to see that we're connecting from all over the world, and this reminder that we all have this fire in us to do something and to do it collectively and together. As Anna mentioned, my name is Michelle. I'm the Partnerships and Programming Lead of the Global Impact Producers Alliance, and we are so grateful to be a part of this space with all of you. And for those of you who are not aware, GIPA is a network of impact practitioners who are strategically harnessing the power of storytelling for social and environmental change. Collectively, we seek to professionalize our field through advocacy, resource sharing, and community building. So through this, GIPA hosts virtual and in-person events at partner film festivals around the world, including FIFDH. We also seek to foster community through the GIPA Community Network and our public LinkedIn to encourage the exchange and sharing of resources and experiences as impact practitioners around the world. And one of our main goals is to ensure that impact campaigns and producers are recognized within the film industry and beyond. As we saw in the Rogue video, whether we are activists or not, we all want to do this work through our different experiences from our various contexts and realities, because our motive is to find a path for stories to motivate positive social change through strategy, through moving our emotions, our heart, and always with and for the communities involved, as Ishtar and Prince so clearly emphasized with their experiences. So I wanted to share one of our main resources that we have created in the past few years is the GIPA Public Directory on our website, which includes profiles of over 200 impact practitioners around the world. I'm going to share my screen in a second, but I just wanted to share that we created this website to uplift the work of impact practitioners. So interested filmmakers can find the right person to implement their campaign, to start imagining and designing their campaign, to seek connections, ask questions, and to start to grow their network of allies, partners, and more than anything, learn from one another and share our experiences. So I'm going to share my screen so you guys can take a look at this website. It is a public website. This is our GIPA members directory, and something that we really highlight is that this website you can search by location, by language, by issues, by expertise, and of course a generic search bar. So if there's any keywords that you're looking for, a specific tool or a specific experience that you're looking for, this directory will hopefully guide you on that right path. I'm going to search for my own name so you guys can take a glance at a profile. And there's also this contact button. So you can respectfully reach out to an impact practitioner who you think might be the right person for your campaign, or if you're looking for some ideas, some connections. And the idea is to build these connections, to highlight the role of an impact practitioner, to learn from one another, and hopefully this is a useful resources for your films and projects. One of the main reasons is that we want to advocate for this fundamental role of an impact practitioner or producer, or whatever we want to call them, and hope that this resource helps filmmakers and their team, but also encourage that the role of an impact practitioner or producer is recognized within the field, within the film industry, and that we are more thoughtful about bringing on impact practitioners early on in the development stages of films. So a lot of what was shared earlier from Ishtar and Prince really resonates with the intentions and motives of the GIPA community. So anyway, that's just a bit of the directory, of the public directory. This is a resource for everyone, and our public website that you can learn more about our work. And I also wanted to share that we have a LinkedIn profile where we share provocations written by impact practitioners around the world about important issues, topics in the field. We also share our upcoming events where we will be at film festivals or other events, and many more other resources from partner organizations and friends. So that's a bit about the GIPA community, and I really want to just show a lot of gratitude to FIFDH, which has been a partner organization with us to help uplift the field through the work that they do at FIFDH Impact Days and beyond. And they're extremely wonderful, incredible international reach. So it has been really wonderful to grow the field with and alongside the work that you all do at FIFDH. And I'm also going to share a few other resources in the chat, including our website. You can contact us at our info email. Please browse through our LinkedIn, and there's also an interest form. If you are interested in joining our GIPA community, you can fill out that interest form, and we can share more information early in February when we open our applications. So thank you everyone.
Thank you so much, Michelle, for presenting what you do at GIPA and what all the community of GIPA does. Very important in this conversation we're having. And I'm looking forward to seeing you in March in Geneva. And talking about March, we're coming to the end of the webinar, but we'd like to say a few words about our program in March before we hold the prize draw. Laura, would you like to say something about it?
Yes, with pleasure. And I would like to thank all the participants and all the speakers in this amazing webinar. I hope you were all inspired. Thank you for sharing your knowledge and vision of what this impact field should look like and how it will grow. So going back to March, the dates, as a reminder, are from the 6th to the 15th in terms of the festival, FIFDH, and the impact days are starting on the Sunday, 8th of March, and they run until the 10th. So it's Sunday afternoon until the entire Tuesday. So it's very soon. So it's coming up very soon. And as each year, we will bring you the best of impact production from around the world. And we are structuring a program which is rich with keynotes, case studies, and panel discussions. And the people and the expertise that we bring to Geneva goes from impact producers to impact practitioners, which I think that today you've learned to familiarize with this word, to impact funders. And that's a very important pillar of what impact production is about, and will be also one of our focuses for this year program, because we realize that it's great to have impact ambitions and ideas and strategies, but how do you find them? That's a big question that is, there is a very strong need to be answered and to enlarge the space where funding can be found. And as usual, one of the central parts of the program will be, of course, the pitching session. So you will not only discover about the 12 documentaries that we have selected for the Impact Lab, and that starting from yesterday will be going through a very rich and dense program in which they will develop their goals and strategies. And so you will see their films in production, the trailers, but in particular, their goals in terms of impact. So it's a very rich program that we are putting together, and you'll find out the entire details of it on the 3rd of February when we will present it. So we encourage all of you to come to Geneva and be part of this unique event and unique community, which is becoming larger and stronger every year. And so hoping that you will be there, and maybe there is some announcements about the winners for the accreditation.
So let's see who the winners of the 5 accreditation for the FIFDH Impact Days are. This is the first time that we are using this system, so we have tested it several times, but let's hope that everything will work smoothly. We've added 74 names that filled in the form before. All right, so we have added here the 74 names. We're gonna select the first 5 and just 2 more in case of any of the first 5 selected cannot make it at the end. All right. Since we have your email addresses, we will be contacting you after that. So let's go for the first one and see what happens. Rebecca Blocher. Rebecca, congratulations. The first Impact Days accreditation is for you. Let's go for another one. Charlie Span, congratulations to you too. It's funny. Let's see. Maritel Bonnet. I guess you're coming from Catalonia, Maritel. Hopefully see you in Geneva. We have 3 for the moment, right? Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah. Okay. 4th winner. Mark Steg. I'm looking forward to meeting you in March. Mark, another one. Elisa Gassotti. Oh, Elisa, it will be nice to see you again here. So we're going to have just 2 more, just in case any of the previous winners cannot finally make it. All right. Marichel again. Okay. Let's do it again. We didn't know that could happen, but of course it can happen. Let's see one more. Gérard Perula. Félicitations, Gérard. On espère te voir de nouveau. Et finalement, Carmela Dazza. Well, so just for you to know, we have here all the names that participating and the results. And I'm going to stop in sharing right now. And you can see me right now, right? Again, I'm back. Yes. So that's all for today. Thank you so much for being with us, for participating in the chat. It was beautiful to see all the comments, questions, reflections, etc. Feel free to visit our website, fifdh.org, and also to register for our industry newsletter if you don't receive it already. And hopefully see you all in March in Geneva. Thank you.